Hi YouTube, this is Rosemary. Not coffee talk, just Rosemary. I need to read something and it's really for Connie and I to have as a log of what I wrote for the story that we did, Striving to Thriving. And it's like an outline. But I'd like to read it because I want to log it into my videos. So, I mean, you're welcome to comment and whatever. And I really, if I read this and it makes you cry, that's not my purpose to make anybody sad. It's just life, guys, and we all go through things. And anyway, this story is basically a little bit more than what you saw in the movie. I don't know why I'm calling it a movie. In the documentary, and I don't go into details about the trauma that we had as children, but I do talk about, you know, our life. So here goes before I make this video any longer. My name is Rosemary Omgren, and this is my weight loss surgery story. My twin sister Connie and I start our life out on March the 3rd, 1962. Our parents are both from Mexican descent. My father was from Guadalajara, Mexico, and my mother was from Gruya, Texas. They both wanted a better life for themselves and for their children to come. So they uprooted and came to Dallas, Texas, where they had 7 children, 5 boys and 2 girls. Life was hard for my parents because my father was a lawyer in Mexico and my mother was going to nursing school in her hometown. My father found a job with a growing company as a factory worker. That was different because he had come from being a lawyer. Life was hard, but good. My mother was a great cook and used traditional ways from her past, like lots of fats and carbs. Tortillas, flour or corn was our bread of the day at every meal as we grew. I, Rosemary, noticed my brothers were thin, and yet my sister and I were fat. I remember as a child asking God, why? And wanting foods like the other children in our neighborhood had. They ate hot dogs and hamburgers. We never ate those things, unless we were invited to someone's home where they just happened to give us a quick bite to eat. Then tragedy struck. My father died in 1967. We were only 4 and a half. So this made things only get rougher for our family. My brothers were still thin, and us girls were only getting fatter. The boys were all forced to find work to help out with our bills in the home. They were married at a young age and left the home. We grew up eating lots more unhealthy items, and life went on. Mother found herself lonely and would venture out with different men who were invited at times to stay at our home, which was never a good idea because they tried many times to touch me and did. And this caused my weight gain to balloon even more. My sister and I never talked about what had happened to us as children, but when we grew up, we found out that the same things that happened to me happened to her. And so we found that we were in pain together. We went on to finish high school as life was beginning for the both of us, as Connie was married after high school at the age of 18. I was married at the age of 19. That seemed to be a pattern with our family, marry at a young age. Connie was pregnant that first year. Her weight began to balloon. While with child, she ate things like stuffing, which she could not get enough of, which became a huge issue with her weight as she ballooned even heavier, and not sure that this might have contributed to her large child, which weighed 11 pounds at birth. Now her second child weighed 10.8 pounds, which about the same kind of bad habits with food. Also, we were pregnant at the same time for 2 of the months. Our children are 7 months apart. She had 2 girls, and I had 2 girls. Not only did we grow up eating unhealthy, but now we were adults ourselves and teaching our cooking and cooking unhealthy for our families. Both our husbands were used to authentic Mexican food. Her relationship with her first husband was very rocky and unstable. This caused the pounds to keep packing on. My relationship was even worse. I had very low self-esteem and was told many times by my husband that if I was not so lazy that I could lose weight, even though I worked from 6 to 6 and attended to my home always. My husband was very rocky and unstable. This caused the pounds to keep packing on. My relationship was even worse. I could lose... I'm lost. My relationship was even worse. I had very low self-esteem. I could lose weight, but those comments only caused more pain and more pounds. Our lives were so unhappy, and the future held even more rough patches that caused even more weight gain for the both of us. Connie was divorced in 1989, and she started to gain her smile and strength back. She found some success with the diet and lost enough weight to feel good about herself, and met her knight in shining armor, Alfred, her husband, and he took on her children and our mother. Connie had lots of pressure with the normal set in of a new marriage and family, and yet again tragedy set in as my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. So this made matters even worse. Again, stress of just life became so much, and she found herself again failing at maintaining a good weight. The pounds began to slowly creep right back up, year after year, and 3 years before my mother passed, and she came to live with me. 3 years before my mother passed, she came to live with me. I was already much heavier than Connie, and also found myself drowning in food, relieving the stress of everyday life. Then life came crashing down. My mother lost her battle to cancer in March of 1998. I was alone with my emotions out of control, when also I was told by my husband that he was in love with another woman, but would not give me a divorce. I felt I was trapped and lost. Again, food was my only friend and comforter. I had ballooned up to 447 pounds. One day, working at the school, I fell and was not able to get up by my own means. It was a very painful, embarrassing, and humiliating to see that some of my students stood and watched as it took 4 men to pick me up, and my younger daughter as well. This was my breaking point, and I said I had to do something. Anything was better than how I was living, because this was not living. It was only existing. So in May of 1999, I began my weight loss journey with the Atkins diet. I studied the book and did everything I could to stay on track. I found that I was being successful for the first time and losing weight at a rapid pace. On August 1999, only 3 months into refocusing and changing the way I was eating, my husband died of a heart attack. I was left alone with 2 children to raise. It seemed as if life was always full of ups and downs and curves, but this time I said I was not going to fail. I looked to God for strength and to keep me focused enough to not have this challenge keep me from succeeding. It was hard, and many people said to me that it was impossible not to regain, but I had to prove them wrong. I had to do this for me this time. I was starting to love who I was becoming in and out. The first year I lost 100 pounds, and no one noticed. Still, a long way to go, but I was determined it would happen. The second year I lost another 100 pounds. I was down to 247. I started to get noticed by men and worked even harder. I dated some, but did not like the fact that at the end of the date they wanted so much more, and I was not willing to do that. One day I passed a glass window and saw my reflection. I could not believe what I was seeing looking back at me. Why did I not do this sooner? It was so hard to see, but I promised myself that I would never, ever go back to being that heavy and unhappy again. Later in December 2002, when I met my blue eyes, Eric, we met in a chat room, a Christian chat room. I was scared because of the men I had dated before. So we took it slow and only talked by internet or phone. I did not want to meet him right away. I was now down to 172 pounds. Now we decided to meet for the first time, face to face on February the 14th, Valentine's Day. It was fast. It was a very fast courtship. He asked me to marry him in March, and I began starving myself to get down to 147 pounds, which I did reach on my wedding day, and saw that weight for about a week. On my honeymoon, I started to pack the pounds again. It was like there was no control. I said, well, I would start at the Atkins again when I returned to Dallas, but it was already spiraling out of control. I weighed up to 265 pounds. Eric knew I was unhappy and beside myself, and was feeling like I had no hope. He then sent me to his doctor, who heard my story of weight loss. The doctor felt that I should go see a friend of hers that was a gastric bypass surgeon. And at the same time, Connie was also looking into gastric bypass. But I had no idea. I was approved within 2 weeks, and she was denied over and over again. When we spoke about this, we were both in shock that we had worked on having the same exact procedure done. It was given the chance to change my life for the better, and she was sadly denied to stay the same. While my life moved on and my body began to shrink again, I was positive that she would get the surgery soon. She tried other policies and was denied again and again. It was as if I was moving on a moving sidewalk, and she was on the side that did not move, always trying to catch up by her own strength and willpower, and not getting anywhere. Her efforts with the insurance was all in vain, for each time she was given hope, but to no avail. It has been very hard for me to see my life go on without my sister changing her life for the better and staying behind the same. I so want to see her change as I did, and I still have the faith that one day I will. And now I know that her change is here. Her change is coming. And with all of us helping, it's going to be a success. So I thank you for sticking with us and following through for a better life for the both of us. And we will walk together. I love you guys, and I'll be back.